Or are you?
Aye, please, aye, save me the bother. My eyes are getting tired.
Alright, here we go.
And we'll get the topical discussion book out.
Right.
Shush. Dead air's no good for a programme, David.
Book out. Right. Yeah. Right. There you go. Sounds off. You saw it.
We'll get the pen out. Get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, it's rising quick. Anyway.
Hello, Lorna. Hi, Mags. I'll do the Facebook.
Aye. Well, hi, Chris. Hi, Mr. E. Hi, William. Terry, Tammy.
Hi, Stephen.
Thomas.
Hi.
Stuart.
Hello, Ian. How you doing? Hello, Adela. I hope I'm pronouncing her. Adela Johnson. Adela, yeah. Is that nice now? Hello, John. Hello,
Hi,
Ellen.
Sean. Hi, Lenny. Hi, Ginger Giraffes. Welcome back.
Hello, Nori. Hello, Lauren.
Right, we've got a lot to get through, Davey, and the numbers are climbing well. So let's start, shall we?
Stephen, hi, Adela. Again. Oh, sorry. That's
Welcome,
correct.
folks. Been a tremendous been a really very, very busy 10 days. Right? But we're only going to focus a wee bit on basically the last 5. Anyway,
yeah.
The first thing we're going to get into is a Starmer climbing into the gutter. What did you make of that?
It is so expected. Don't you agree?
Oh, aye, public school by educated, you know, we want to get into the kindergarten of the debating society, you know, but to accuse Sunak of presiding over 4,200 people who had sex with 13s and overs, but under 16 or 18, depending how you look at the law, because they were put in community services, community sentence orders, to accuse him of no caring about jailing these people. The law is quite specific on it, actually, David. Do you know a wee bit about it? Aye.
No, it's to be honest with you, it's just it's a whole subject. It's a whole subject, if you like.
It's not something that was ever into your and I lives, but when the story came up, I was looking at it, and they credit the over 13s apparently in English law as having a wee bit of acumen amongst them. And if the two people having sex are generally the males under 21 and the females who are 13, and they both say it was consensual, then generally it's considered to be an adolescent thing and the sentencing is lighter. So the judges down there have the ability under to bestow community orders.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's face it, that's their job. Yeah. So at the end of the day, for them to look at a situation and go, well, that situation wasn't as bad as that situation. So in that situation, we'll give them just like 8 months or something like that, and this one will give them 12 months.
So you've got a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old in a relationship, and they take it on, curiosity takes it on as physical. Then a bit of common sense kicks in.
Yeah.
You know, because let's face it, we all grow. It's a hard time in a young person's life.
I was a virgin until I was 45, David. You know what I mean? So we all know that.
Aye, that's right, David. But just quite a minute ago, because that wasn't the only one. You know, there was a whole series of these bloody things released. You know, and it tells you a wee bit about the future of the United Kingdom. Party. We'll get to that in the last section of the show today. But
do you think
it tells you a lot about what's going on?
Hang on. Do you think that this plays bad for the Tories, or does it play bad for Labour? And I'm talking about English electorate's eyes. In the English electorate's eyes, I'm going about.
Well, that's the thing. The people in England are looking for change, and what could change in the next 12 months is the fact that Starmer doesn't actually stand for change at all.
Yeah,
he's actually preparing for continuity governance.
Yes, that's right.
He has moved the Labour Party so far to the right,
yeah,
that they are almost indistinguishable.
It's almost like voting Liberal, right? When you vote Lib Dem, then you accept that you are voting for whomever they do a deal with, if it's a hung parliament.
Right.
And therefore, if you vote Lib Dem, you get what you're given. As simple as that. If you vote Labour, you're going to get Tory. If you vote Tory, you're going to get Tory. If you vote Lib Dem, well, let's face it, you're going to end up with Tory. So there isn't much of a choice for the people of England, is there? Apart from
really. And say Starmer's prepared for continuity governance. All the pledges he made when he took her for Corbyn have been thrown out the window. All and I mean, you look at his pledges recently; they're not very inspiring. And his economic policies are basically the same. Taking things back into public hands out the window. Privatisation of the NHS continued.
Yeah.
Culture war continued. War immigration policies very much the same. Stop with small votes rather than getting on with processing, and make safe and legal routes for people who want to claim asylum to do so.
Yeah.
But no.
And that's because
stop with small vote. It's economic, budgetary and economic policy is basically the same. Continued austerity. He's already said he won't push the bar, the vote out, and things like that. He'll keep tight control of public purses. When you get right, don't you? I keep saying this. You can put a fag paper between them, but people in England want change, so Labour will win.
Yeah, and it's the duopoly. It's just okay, your turn. We'll take a back seat for a bit.
Aye, and for the people here in Scotland, have to get it clear. It's not a fix to vote Labour at the next election, because Labour's a short-term thing in England. History tells us Labour's short-term in England.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. That's very generous, thank you. Now, history tells us that Labour are short-term. Our my lifetime, David, your lifetime, we've been mere Tory governments, but we've been Labour governments.
Of course not. Because what happens is, what has happened in the past is that the Tories leave them with a bit of a booby trap, right? This time, the whole thing is littered with booby traps.
Just a landmine.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, it's too long.
Yeah.
But the political choice at this point in time is so narrow.
Yeah.
There is nobody offering what Germany offered, and that was to reconstruct the state in the interest of the people instead of the state operating the interest of the state in a small minority.
Yeah.
So
I do think it's ironic as well that Starmer, if you like, he's trying to make it look as if he's not interested in the Tory Labour thing of the Tories asking their people to vote Labour to keep the SNP out.
We'll get to that, David. It's no time.
Yeah.
We're on Starmer at the moment.
We're
on the fact that he actually, the Labour Party thought that dipping down into the gutter rather than maintaining the moral high ground was the right way to go.
Yeah.
So they're not offering anything different.
No, of course not.
Right, anyway, the second one's we're back on Cruella, Braverman, or whatever the hell her name is.
Yeah.
Let's just call her the Devil's Wife.
Cruella de Vil.
That's it. Anyway, prison barges for the latest wheeze and the culture war. Prison barges for refugees.
It seems as if they've got 500 bedrooms with ensuite bathroom and all the rest of it. Really quite swish. And very well built they are too, you know, because they're actually
an open air toilet and a cell is not exactly what you call ensuite.
Yeah, but you know, they are well built, you know, for a prison ship. Yeah.
Oh, aye, good barges.
Yeah.
Engineering sound.
And
to load people in.
And if it becomes a problem, they can always stage the scuttle the thing. You know, that gets rid of the problem permanently, doesn't it?
You know, the race to seek asylum, the Refugees Convention, has all been thrown at the bloody windy here.
Yes, that's right.
They've already passed a law to criminalise these people, and they're talking about sticking them in prison boats.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's not an original idea, is it? They used to have, the English used to have them, or the British states, sorry, let's not blame our English cousins. Yeah. The British states had them to prison boats to take people to Botany Bay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Nothing new, no imagination.
Yeah.
But more importantly, and one of the reasons why it has to be done is because they've allowed such a build-up without processing people properly. Now, the answer to this problem is to throw staff and money at processing claims. That way, those who can't here, who shouldn't be here, can be removed, and those who should be here, then the infrastructure should be there to deal with them.
Yeah.
But what we've got is people in limbo for years and years and years, and there's a reason for that. And we already spoke about it, as there's big companies making money out of it.
Well, yeah, you've got to look at it from the political standpoint. If the Tories suddenly started to process these people by the thousand each day, right? Very, very quickly they would have a large influx of it, and all the gammons in that society would be going, oh, they're taking our bloody jobs.
But the problem is, we've got so many jobs, we need them to take them.
Yes, but it's not how it plays politically, though, does it?
Well, it's not how it plays with the Tory base, the gammons.
Yeah.
Or the extreme right wing, which is on the rise in England. I mean, we all have to look at the way the media has went down there. You know, the BBC or Tories at the top. We've now got GB News, Gammon News. We've got Talk TV, Gammon News.
Also got people that were in GB News now holding the top positions in the BBC.
Aye.
You know, so
and I mean, what's interesting about that is Andrew Neil. Do you know that there's a timeline here that people won't understand? Andrew Neil said he walked away from GB News because it was going in the direction that he couldn't play with.
Yeah.
Andrew Neil was in at the start of Sky. He was there to help set Sky up. Mm-hmm. He was then there to set up Fox News.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. And by happy coincidence, he's there to set up GB News. And he tries to distance himself to the right wing. Really, Andrew?
Yeah.
We were told in the 80s, right up until GB News, that's 3 right-wing, well, Sky can swing from left to right, you know, but 2 right-wing media outlets. And Sky was a bit right-wing when it was launched.
Yeah. He was with the beat. Yeah, so.
Yeah. But it really tells you the direction of travel with the UK when we're talking about prison ships for asylum seekers.
It's just ridiculous. It's disgusting. It makes you rich thinking about it.
Aye, it does. But I watched a debate on this, and the person who was advocating for treating these people under the conventions and for to make sure that they're treated humanely, the way that they go at that particular person in the debate I watched, and I'm not going to get into names and things like that, but in that particular debate, every time she stated a point that it was breaking the law, or it was the right-wing answer was, well, what do you want to do with them? Where do you want to put them?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the capabilities. I would do. If we process these people properly, then only those who qualify would be here.
I've got an
And
idea.
the infrastructure is there to deal with that. The problem we have is that they haven't processed anybody.
Yeah, well, I've got an idea on that.
Thanks very much, that's very kind.
If anybody's listening at Calais, right, thinking about jumping in that bloody rubber boat and heading out, right, what you do is get a lift up round Norway, right, and then come in north of Aberdeen if you can, right. There's loads of nice beaches you can land on there, right, and then we'll hide you. Hide you, all right. And you
can hiding, but we'll definitely say treat them better.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Job
sorted. I mean, to be fair, we did have them on cruise ships.
Yeah.
But that's a cruise ship. It's not a prison barge.
Nice one on that one is that the cruise ship that the Ukrainians were on, I've just been told a couple of days ago that is now gone. And all the people that were on there are now in proper housing.
I don't know about the proper housing, but they had to be taken after it because the cruise ship was going back to being a luxury liner. Yeah. I mean, when you think about that, you know, they're talking about prison barges and slagging us off for having them on a luxury liner.
Yeah.
With all the facilities.
Yeah.
No, absolutely mental. You and I would pay thousands to go on a luxury liner.
Yeah, I've done in the past. Yeah, very nice indeed. Thank you very much.
I know me. I get sick in the bathtub. That's why I shower. I'm not a sailor, that's for sure. Yeah, well, I'm not a sailor.
Poor Willie's English police came to Glasgow for that one. Yes, I know and I remember. That was, I've got to say, one of the proudest moments that we have ever seen. It was absolutely bloody wonderful, where you had the Home Office coming to take two people to get them out of the country, and the people of Glasgow stood up and said, "No, you're no."
That was the first time it happened, but the first time it happened, we actually celebrated culture. It's called the Glasgow Girls.
I know it wasn't the first time, but the thing is, any time we as a people stand up, I mean, look at Tommy Sheridan when he was talking about the blooming warrant sales that were going on. He got people together, "No, you know," and that was it. And won. And at the end of the day, it's like that's what is needed, is for people to actually stand up and do something about it. Yeah. They're not going to do anything about it in the south end of England, I can assure you. They'll do something about it if people manage to make it to Scotland. So get yourself up round by Norway, as far up as you can, and then come across the water there. We'll probably.
I mean, the first real success here in Scotland, which emboldened people, was the Glasgow Girls.
Yeah, that's right. Stood right up in the middle of all that, right after the
right behind your house.
Aye, that's right.
No, these people are part of your community and we're keeping them. End of bloody story.
Right, yep.
You know. But we have to demerit that. We've spoken about this. Even our politicians have to stand up and say, this is the line, no further, no more.
Yeah.
But we'll get a wee bit more of that further in. I want to move on to the Good Friday Agreement, Biden's visit to Mora, and some of the reaction to the 25-year anniversary coming up. Right?
Do you think the Tories are at all worried about Biden?
Aye.
Do you?
Aye.
Sound like it to me. There's not any of them making any nice noises towards that.
No, but they're worried about him.
Yeah? Well.
The success of Brexit hangs on him.
Well, you know, the success of Brexit depends on him keeping his trap shut. I think that's the truth of it. But I think if Biden says the same as what he said in the past, which is, right, guys, you've done the wrong thing.
Oh, he's going to continue to do that.
Well, That means then that they're never going to get their trade deal with America. Not that I think it matters, because I think America's going to have far much more to actually deal with over the next.
What we're going to see is a Rishi Sunak bootlicking the more.
Yeah, oh aye, yes, definitely.
You know?
But Rishi Sunak will do that not because he's bootlicking the Americans. He's doing that for the audience. He's playing to the audience, which is the gamins in England.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
But I mean, he will be licking boots.
Yeah. Yeah, but as I say, that is, he's playing to a particular audience. He's not playing to the Americans. He's playing to the gamins in England.
What's really interesting is the way things have been greeted in Northern Ireland. I've been looking at it, and some on the loyalist side says that the Good Friday Agreement is the worst thing that ever happened. In fact, I watched an interview with a leader of TUV. And he's given it worst thing that ever happened, the Good Friday Agreement. And because he said it was a 50-year project to reunite the island of Ireland. And of course, we had Arlene Foster give it the Good Friday Agreement's a 50-year programme.
Yeah.
They're only 25 years in. So basically, these people are Arlene Foster is getting out of the unionist side that you've got 25 years left.
No, what they're doing is they're saying, give it 50 years, at least we'll be deeding out the way and you can do what you like. Right?
No, but that's the whole point of the 50-year project. Most of these nut jobs who were part of the troubles will be gone. And as we've discussed repeatedly here on this, the kids who grew up in the last 30 years of peace, they're not interested in the troubles of the past. They're interested in paying their electricity bills. They're in their 30s now, they've got young families, maintaining a job, being able to keep a roof over their head, being able to feed their families, being able to make sure their families have medical care and education. That's what they care about.
Yeah.
They don't care that the guy next door is a Catholic or a Protestant.
That's right.
You know, they've grown up working in the same environment, working in the same same workforce and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's become a bit like Glasgow, where you're a 90-minute bigot. You know?
Exactly, aye.
Or a bit like rugby, where you're a 80-minute Scottish nationalist. No, sorry, that was a bit unfair. But no, it's a big event tomorrow, and it'll be interesting. It really will. Sunak's calling for the DUP to get back into storming. Not going to happen. That would mean reconciling myself with the fact that the Unionist is now the smaller of the two factions in Northern Ireland. You know, that would be admitting the fact that actually the idea of unionism in Northern Ireland is petering out as the generations pass. Well,
you know, but when something is based just on pure hatred, how long can you keep that going for? How long can you keep the hatred going for?
You can't. Young people will be young people.
Yeah, it depends on being able to indoctrinate children into hatred. And children don't naturally take to hatred.
No, they don't.
Do, you know, so it's, in actual fact, I've got to say that, you know, I was brought up in that kind of environment, and I turned my back on it.
Aye.
At the age of 13.
Well, that's a logical thing to do the minute you've got some sense.
Aye. But it does rely on the child involved having a wee bit of knowledge, wee bit of intellect, right? But at the same time, the kind of intellect I had at 13, it was a long time ago. You look at the kids now, I mean, my goodness me, my daughter is better at maths than I am. She's far more intelligent, right? So, and I believe all the kids through better education have got that. And they're able to...
Even the ones that are absolutely indoctrinated, what happens is they get into the workforce.
Yes.
And when they get out into that public environment and realise that actually nobody's really that interested in what they're supposed to say or what the Bible they're supposed to spew. They're only interested in the things we've just spoke about getting on in life.
Yeah. You know, when I started working, when you probably started your working life, what's the first thing you get asked by your mates? What team do you support?
What do you support? Aye.
I don't know if that still happens, but there you go. I think, in actual fact, that's maybe not so widespread as it once was. Yeah?
No, it's definitely, as I say, and the ability to indoctrinate children these days is a lot harder because technology, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what side a so-called divide you're on. You want your children that technology, they get to make their own minds up.
Yeah.
They make their own minds up a lot quicker. Their influences are different.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. But as I say, Biden's visit to Belfast tomorrow will be a fascinating event. You know.
Well, we can all watch and see the magic happen.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to be magic. I'm just saying it's going to be fascinating. You know.
I think Mr. Biden, he's more concerned about what Mr. Trump is going to do and what that may do to his own country.
I know.
I really don't think that at the moment Ireland is uppermost in his mind.
It'll be up there enough for his visit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what he'll be saying is, the Good Friday Agreement is a good thing. Continue to work under it and get back into Stormont and get the province up and running again.
Yeah.
That will be his primary message, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, so we've seen Sunak already urging the DUP to get back in. And it looks like there's going to be a bribe involved. There'll be money thrown at it to get them back in.
Was this like the £1 billion that were already given under Snarling?
Aye, I bet it'll be something similar again with the Americans and the UK chipping in.
Yeah.
You know, I think there'll be some sort of announcement like that to entice the DUP back in.
Where did that £1 billion go?
I don't know.
Was it ring fenced by any chance?
Well, I've absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Bring along the forensic tent, please.
But absolutely, as I say, it's going to be quite interesting. Anyway, the next one is to talk a wee bit about Turkey and its veto of Sweden getting into NATO. That's put the cat amongst the pigeons, is it not?
I personally think it's a great place to go for a holiday, but if you look at the fact that the main artery that Russia has to go into the Mediterranean runs right the way through Turkey, and at their back door, Mount Ara, blooming backs right onto Russia's back door, then I've got to say Turkey are looking right for a takeover.
What was interesting about that is I don't know if people are aware of this, but because they couldn't move the Turkish president Erdogan on the idea of Sweden joining NATO, basically Europe sanctioned Turkey on the quiet because the US and the UK announced that they expected terrorist strikes in Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
That cuts down tourism from Europe into Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that the US, the UK, the Germans, the French, the Dutch, and many others have closed their embassies in Turkey.
And what you'll find is that the wish for people to go to Turkey on holiday might slow down a wee bit.
Aye, that's what I'm saying. They've imposed basically an economic sanction on Turkey.
Yeah, it's a bit by the back door. I mean, the people of Turkey, I've got no problem. They're nice people that I've met, fine. But this guy that's in charge of Turkey, I do wonder about his way of thinking. He shoved the boot into that many different people. And Sweden, not allowing Sweden to become part of NATO, I don't think that was wise.
Wise or no, one thing we can say about Erdogan is he's watching the shift in geopolitical situation because of the geographical situation of his country.
So what do you think he thinks about BRICS?
I think he's watching what's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah. Because that's his other back door.
Aye.
You know, you look at where Turkey is situated. It's one side it's Russia, Another bit of it is Greece and Europe, and another bit of it is the Middle East. So wow, you talk about having your.
The guy's got a lot to think about, and no matter what you think about personally, when you look at how he's handled the situation with Russia and Ukraine, you look at how he's looking at NATO and trying to their attempt to surround Russia, if you like.
Yeah.
There is an awful lot for Erdogan to think about, and then of course you see the peace deal broker between Saudi and Iran, and then you see them basically saying they'll sell their oil,
yeah,
and the yuan, and that power, and of course the BRIC 27 nations, I think there's about 27 of them, agreeing to trade with each other in their own currencies.
Yeah.
And the way that hits the international markets, undermines the petrodollar. What's going on out there, David? It's pretty murky.
What's your thoughts? I saw a lot of news clips last night about Israel, and I think, I'm not sure, I think, reading between the lines on what I'm seeing, I think the Israelis have been told you're not getting your 100 billion in blooming weapons aid.
I was about to say, because of the shift, the potential shift in power on the planet at this point in time, especially in the financial markets, I think Israel was getting nervous.
Yeah. Because if Israel don't have 100 billion in weapons aid given to them each year by the Americans, then they become a direct target for the Saudis. And if you look at the other side of it, the other one that the Israelis have got a problem with is Iran, and the Saudis and the Iranians have just signed a nice love me and love you deal. Yes, How's about that?
Hey, the enemy of my enemy.
Right.
It's my friend.
Yeah.
The old daddy said the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, it's all very well having a smile and a laugh about things like this, but Israel, you've got to remember there's normal ordinary people like us that live in Israel. There's normal ordinary people like us live in Iran. There's normal ordinary people like us live in Saudi Arabia. They're not all blooming sheikhs and princes and all the rest that lop people's heads off because they don't like them, So
no, it's interesting that, I mean, our common humanity is there in all these nations.
Yeah. Yes. So it might, on the face of it, be something of a wee laugh at the blooming change in the guard here, but no, this is going to upset people's lives, big style. This is the new world order coming into being. We've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks, and it is.
But it don't play out the way Davos wanted it to play out, does it?
No, that's right. Yeah.
It would appear the Chinese, the Russians, and the BRIC nations have decided. You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are turbulent times, and these are stories that are not making it into the mainstream media here because they're busy playing the culture wars here.
Yeah, they'd far more like to waste your time on Trump. They'd far more waste your time on Peter Morrell. They'd far more waste your time on anyone.
We're climbing into the gutter.
Yeah, that's right.
To carry out his fight and amongst the culture wars.
Yeah.
Because he's preparing us for continuity government with no bloody change.
Correct.
It's all smoke and mirrors, really. And that'll bring us on to our last subject for the day, because that will take a wee while discussing. There's a lot into it. Well, folks.
Hey, hang on, David. Tom McCracken says, "Whoa, Davies, did you know Ken that just mentioning Israel is now anti-Semitic?" No, it's not. Right? Let's get that straight. You can talk about a country anytime you want. I'm not down in a particular faith or religion or whatever, right? It's not anti-Semitic, and if you knew what the word meant, then you wouldn't.
He does, David. What he's saying is they're trying to orchestrate it that anything you say about Israel is anti-Semitic. Yeah, Paul knows exactly what he's saying.
Do you know
It's not a bad comment.
Do you know what cemented is? Do you know what cemented is? Right. Okay.
But let's move on to the last subject, because it will take this period of time. And the last one is general election. Whenever it happens, battle lines have been drawn. And the Unionists are putting the idea out there to their followers via Douglas Ross that in the Central Belt and in populated areas, Tory voters should vote Labour. And in rural areas, where the Tories traditionally do well, Labour voters should vote Tory to block the SNP. Smacks a wee bit of desperation.
But it's been done before.
Yes, that's the point.
And it's been done successfully before.
And of course,
that's how come Jackie Bailey along that road in Blooming Dumbarton. She should never hold a blooming MSP in this area, right? But she was helped by the Tories to get in.
Right. And that's how they did. That's how they got Alex Salmond out of his seat and things like that.
Yeah.
It's no new, but what they're doing is they're sending the signal out.
Yeah.
So that they know what they're doing, and they're doing it a fair bit out. That way they can have the media play it a wee bit and say, Sunak says, shut up, Ross, Tory voters vote Tory. Starmer saying, shut up, Labour. Labour will be Labour. You know. But the point is, it's actually a situation that we now find ourselves in. We know what they're going to do. They've given their supporters prior notice what they expect them to do. And it's a very dangerous time for the independence movement. This could well be your and I last campaign.
Absolutely.
This time after this next general election, I could be sitting down writing my book. I've already got a title for it. How our independence movement killed itself.
And going off what I've seen over the last 5-6 days, it's like, I've got to say, some people are doing a bloody good job of destroying the indie movement.
Aye, and which brings us to what John Curtis had to say on Top TV. Funny how these people are appearing on this Gammon TV network as they try to promote it.
Yeah.
You get Mr. Salmond on there, you get John Curtis on there. Anyway, what he said was that the yes vote's holding up fine, but the SNP have to pray that the yes voters still vote SNP, because if there's a shift to Labour, then the yes vote can stay where it wants. But there's no vehicle.
Yeah, but this goes back to the older of our community, right? Where in the past, what people here used to do was vote Labour to keep Tory out, right? Or vote Labour to get Tory out. And that's the way that their heads are still locked into that. And then when the shout goes out, oh, make sure that you vote Labour, or make sure you vote, if you're a Tory, you vote Labour to keep SNP out.
This was the next point I was going to bring up. Alpha, SNP and Green should link together. Thomas, I'm going to tell you a factual truth here. And this is something people don't get. And I pointed this out 2 years ago in a video for Bonnie Bridge in the evening, my second video of the day. Right? They don't recognise anybody for independence except for the SNP. At this point in time, at Westminster, we have 43 or 44 SNP MPs and 2 Alpha MPs that walk the floor. They don't recognise the Alpha Party at all. Here in Scotland, along that road in Holyrood, we have a majority of pro-independence MPs. Both parties stood to be elected on a pro-independence manifesto, but they don't recognise the Greens. And that's what they're telling us. There is no mandate because it's no an SNP majority. And remember, this one's going to be a Westminster election. And if the SNP lose MPs rather than gain them, then the game's a bogey.
Yeah.
The game is a bogey. I said this 2 years ago when I did the cracks in the movement video. We are fighting for the very existence of our nation. And to fail at this point in time and see the SNP go backwards. Support for independence can stay solid at 48-49%, as John Curtis said it is. But if you don't have a vehicle, a recognisable vehicle.
That's right. That's the trick.
And Westminster has proven it doesn't recognise the Greens or the Alpha Party. And I don't mean any disrespect to them. It's Westminster being democracy deniers. It's nothing to do with the political parties. It's going to do with Westminster being democracy deniers and basically saying the SNP are nothing. It's an SNP majority or nothing. That is what the unionists are telling us.
Yet again, that'll be the Tory or Labour unionist politicians playing to a particular crowd when they say we don't recognise anything of our right.
But we know they don't recognise the Greens.
No, let me finish on this wee point, right? It gets darkest just before dawn.
That's why I said this could be our last campaign. I never said it's going to be.
Right. So we've got to expect the worst, but hope for the best. And we do know that the Labour vote Labour to keep Tory out is going to be a thing. We know that's going to be a very, very heavy thing. You're just going to have to talk to people. Sorry, guys. It's like coming on here on Facebook and all the rest of it. It's very good and we love to see you. And thank you for coming on. But you're actually going to have to go and talk to your next door neighbour or your workmate or whatever and ask them. And if there was a Westminster election, how do you think you'll vote? And if they come up with, oh yeah, I'm voting Labour to get Tory out, well, maybe it would be a good idea for you to actually explain to them why that would be a bad idea. Okay. That's all.
John Curtis has made this clear, David. You know, the yes vote has held up strong through all this turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
We're still sitting, since the Nicola resigned, we've had 6 polls, and they all still have it basically 50-50, as John was saying.
That's the yes family speaking, right? However, you're quite right. Doesn't matter how many in the yes family you've got, you could have like 4,999,999 people in the yes family. But if they don't have a political vehicle to actually take them to independence, it ain't going to happen.
And what we do know, David, is that they don't recognise multiple parties standing on a single platform.
Right.
We have that in Holyrood right now.
Yep.
And if the demise of the SNP and these other parties taking up the slack is the answer, it's still going to be our last campaign, David, because it won't be in our lifetime. You're in your mid-60s, I'm in my mid-50s.
It becomes pointless task. It becomes savage amusement, which is an old saying that I know from the northeast of England, right? Savage amusement. I'm not going to do savage amusement.
But we have to be brutally blunt and brutally honest with our audience, because the audience only ranges from 35 to 80 votes.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're barely getting the demographic that we really need to get our horns on.
Yeah.
As you know, we've got the audience breakdown, David, so we know roughly how many is male, how many is female, the average age, that sort of thing. Viewers, it just shows you how much the AI out there has gathered information on you. The streaming services, FB and YouTube, can tell us what demographic you are, where you are in the world, when you're viewing the lot. Get it on the analytics. But it is important here, folks. If the SNP go backwards in this general election, then it's a 20-30 year rebuild for the next generation. Look how long it took us to get to 2014. Look how long it took us to get 48-49% the polls, sometimes over, sometimes under 50. That's why John says earlier, last 22. When he was correcting the wee woman on Gammon TV, it wasn't GB News, it was the other one, Talk TV. When he was correcting her, he said, our last 22 polls is 50-50 hen. And then we want to explain the big danger is that people stop voting SNP in their droves.
Yeah.
if someone was switched to Labour to get rid of the Tories and they start to gain seats for the SNP and no just the Tories, which they need to get over 30% of the popular vote today, apparently, then the game's a bogey, folks. If the SNP go backwards or even stand still, I think. If stand still, they might just get away with it. But trap an MP or two, and the game's a bogey.
And that's the reason why we keep asking you. Don't care who you are. Don't care what your politics are. You want Scotland independent? What do you know is get yourself a membership with the SNP.
But if you can't do that, make sure that this next election, because this is the pivotal election for the independence movement. I can't emphasise this enough, and it's not because of David Nye's age. This is the pivotal one because if the SNP go backwards and they only recognise the SNP as the vehicle, then the game's a bogey.
And why do you think there are so many attacks on the SNP at the moment? All generated by the British establishment. Seriously, you might laugh at that, but I'm telling you, all generated by the British establishment. And this is what
the later we get to this election, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's talk about Dross. Yeah. Let's talk about Sarwar. Dross's public statement, and then Sarwar's like, we don't need your help. Actual casual rebuttal. As David said earlier, it's worked before. It will work again unless we turn out, because we still have more numerically than they have.
Yeah.
Numerically combined, we still have more. If people are willing to vote for the SNP. Now, when it comes to Holyrood's election, we can get back to arguing whether 2 or 3 pro-independence parties in that parliament will make a difference. Looking at the fact that there's 2 at the moment, and it hasn't made a difference. That's a debate to be had after this Westminster election. But for this Westminster election, if the SNP go backwards, it'll be our last campaign, David. You and I were sitting down to write a book about how our aim movement.
And I know it.
6 or 7 years.
And I know where the bodies are buried.
Aye, but that never meant that far. If we ever look at it, this movement has been pushing and pushing and pushing for an extended period of time.
Aye.
That has allowed fractionalisation.
Yeah.
And I warned personally that if that fractionalisation happened, there would be unionists putting big levers in the cracks and it would blow it to smithereens. Well, this is that moment. Me and Big John down the supermarket the other day brought that home to Bathius. Because during our discussion we went, what's the way forward, John? What's the way forward, David? And the answer was to do. Because we're busy doing it to ourselves.
Yes.
Busy doing it to ourselves.
That's a shame. There you go.
But can I emphasise this enough, David? We haven't got that long to go in the show, 12 minutes. If the electorate and the Yes movement, as John Curtis says, don't get out and vote SNP in this next election, kiss it goodbye for at least however long it takes the 35-year-olds to build their own movement.
And all the ones that jump up and down and think how wonderful Mr. Salmon is and the Alba party is and all the rest of it, I can continue. Keep going, guys, because at the end of the day, we'll be able to point you and go, well, you.
No, we won't be pointing because we need voices in our democracy, David. I'm not pointing that game. What I will say is, history shows that divided movements do not win their cause.
Yeah.
So for this next election, at least, we have to be united. We can argue about the Scottish election afterwards.
Yeah.
But this next election will be the one that gives us a mandate to say that the Scottish election is going to be the de facto independence referendum, because that's the way the party's going to go with it. That's the way they're going to go with it. It's not something that you and I favour.
Nope.
You know, but sensibly, you and I know that we want a Scottish election to be the de facto independence referendum, Westminster election coming first. So they're going to ask for a mandate to make that Scottish election a de facto election. And they could then call a snap Scottish election if need be.
Do you want to know something? It's like, the way I look at it is, see if we win either the Westminster or the Scottish election, well, the Westminster one will come first. We win that, we're independent. Sorry, guys, we just that's it.
Oh, no, David, you're right there. If we win that one and the SNP gets back up with 56, 57,
doesn't have to go up to that. No, it doesn't have to go up to that. It has to
no,
go up.
All right, then let's just say the SNP gain.
Yeah.
Right.
We're 30.
You then give notice to Westminster that you intend to negotiate and you're going to take it to the Scottish people to get it ratified that you can negotiate. And that's what you call a Scottish de facto referendum, if you like, in the form of an election.
Yeah.
But I think the party will, because of the turmoil in it. We've seen what Mike Russell had to say, we've seen what Humes had to say. You know, I think they also know that the result of this next election will be the game changer. And I didn't have to want to get to the point where I say this, David, because, you know, what's transpired and the very fact that the movement's done it to itself is the hardest thing to stomach.
Oh, yeah. Yes, agreed. Absolutely agreed.
I mean, you and I went through the absolute festival of melting pot of ideas, all putting them to one side, and that's where the saying was born. And that is let's get the keys to the house before we argue about how we're going to decorate it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
You know, and that's where my eyes on the prize comes from. And it comes directly from that. We have to be concentrated on that one goal of getting the keys. Then we can argue about how we go about renovating and decorating.
Yeah. But we're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that point at this moment in time.
But the battle lines have been drawn, David. That's the whole point of this segment.
The thing about it is, we're in 2023 now, right? It could be at the very end of 2024 before a Westminster election is called.
Aye.
Whereas, technically speaking about it, we could have a Scottish election, a Scottish plebiscite within the next 3-4 months, if wanted.
Aye, but it won't be recognised.
Why won't it be recognised? As far as I'm concerned, you might take one view on this, but my view is the Scottish people were to vote in that way on a Scottish election, right? Yes, it will be recognised, because what we'll do is we'll turn to our neighbours in Europe or whatever, and they will go, yes, we recognise an independent Scotland.
Aye.
It will be recognised by Westminster, but it won't be recognised by Westminster no matter what. And you know that.
I don't know. I think they'll go for the double whammy.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about, and I agree with you 100% on it.
Yeah.
Any vote on it.
Yeah.
Which shows a clear will of the Scottish people.
Westminster are not going to agree to anything under any circumstances, because they know, the ones that in the know they've got too much to lose. We go our way with our resources, they're buggered.
Listen, we don't need to get into that part of it. What we're going to emphasise today is that if the SNP go backwards in this next election, which happens to be the general election, then this will probably be your and I's last campaign on this issue. Because it will be shelved. Simple as that.
Anyway, there you go.
But that's the facts, because that the media will then get into overdrive. Scotland loses interest in independence. SNP go backwards.
Yeah.
And the people are weary.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't emphasise enough that that's the case. And that's just a political reality. You know, for us, it's been easy. It's been all SNP wins and gains, David. We've fought a good campaign.
Yeah, we've got as many mandates as you could blooming shake a stick at, you know.
Well, with the beer
No, but the thing is, no, but the thing is, though, right? Whilst we're asking people to vote to join the SNP and all the rest of it, we really must push home the thing that the present leadership of the SNP still want to go for another mandate, and then put it to the test in a Scottish election. Why not just go for the Scottish election? I might be.
I have said this. We know that they could collapse Parliament at any time. We have said this.
Yeah.
But as I say, I think they're going to go for a double whammy, especially with the current turmoil. I think they're looking at this Westminster election to gauge appetite again.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned,
but I know that you and I are individuals and we are ardent campaigners. Yeah. They're also a political party.
Yeah.
You know, we're members of a political party, but the reality is, because of what's going on right now, which we know has been orchestrated by the state, but because of what's going on right now, I think that's the way the party's going to go.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say I like it, because you and I often disagree with the party, although people out there will tell us we don't. You know, but I think that's the way it's going to go. And if that's the way it's going to go, people were still going to have to get behind it. Because if the SNP go backwards, I'm going to have to start from scratch again. Sorry, but that's the facts.
The amount of times that we've been sat here thinking this is it, we're getting close, and then getting knocked back, and then we think we're getting close again, and then we're getting knocked back, and it's like, I really think that yes, we need to get our weight behind the SNP, but we also need to get our fucking voices heard in the SNP and say, never mind another mandate, guys, let's just go for it.
Well, what we have to do is get our voices, use the democratic system within the party to decide one way or another.
Yeah.
And although you and I don't agree with the idea of another mandate and then going on to a Scottish plebiscite election, if that's what the party wants, and that's what the majority of the party wants, well, Democrats will go with it.
Right. Yes. And being Democrats, I would have to say to Alba, the Alba supporters is, never mind your blooming political party, get in, join the SNP, get into the blooming the meetings, the SNP meetings, and change it from the inside. If that's how you feel, guys, make it happen from there.
That was our argument with the EU and all.
Yeah, correct.
And the unions will say, well, that's our argument. We asked you to stay and lead.
Yeah.
But we already know, because they asked us to stay and lead, and we did stay. Mm-hmm. No my preference, no your preference, but we did stay. We've seen what subsequently happened.
Yeah.
You know. But as I say, this one is a pivotal election for our movement. And let's keep it clear here. This is a pivotal election for our movement. It could come sooner than January 2025, which is the latest it could push it to.
Yeah.
It might well be the traditional May next year. It might come earlier. But we still have to emphasise the fact that this is a pivotal point for our movement. We've already stated why it's a pivotal point. They don't want to be downhearted, because when you look at it, as Mr. Curtis said, it's still 50-50 in the polls. There have been 6 polls done since Nicola resigned. The yes vote is holding steady at 48-49%, so he's still going at 50-50, because they fluctuate a wee bit early 22 months that he was looking at. And but we need our 50% to get out and vote for the SNP. The whole of the election, we can talk about afterwards. But if we lose momentum here at this election, then the media will go to town, and we will really lose traction.
Yeah, That's right.
This time we have to prove that we haven't lost any traction.
No, this time.
When the election's not enough.
David, we need to go further than that. It's not a case of proving that we haven't lost traction or managed to stay with the status quo.
We have to gain momentum.
That's right.
And we can do this, folks.
Mm-hmm.
This wee segment might have sounded downhearted because, David and I are ardent campaigners. We don't really want to give up. We don't want to admit defeat. But we can do this. We can get the yes vote out to vote for the SNP and to give them that traction, to give them that momentum. It's no beyond our ken. We've done it before. We can do it again. David and I were part of the digital revolution, which in the SNP bypassed the mainstream media in 2007 and 2011. They've caught up with the mainstream media back now. But we've got big networks. We can still do it.
And sorry, David, I was just going to say, and let's face it, Labour, I assure you right at this moment in time, it doesn't matter what's happened with the news regarding the SNP, Labour are an easy target. We can pull Labour apart, no bother whatsoever. You want Brexit? No, we didn't want Brexit. However, you vote Labour, that's what you're voting for. You're voting for Brexit.
Every time they hold a rally, it'd be easier for us to break it up. You've got somebody giving it in a town hall about Labour being the change that Scotland needs. Only just half a dozen of us in the meeting to start up and say, you kidding? Poverty pie and continuity starmer.
Yeah.
That's all it takes to make people think. Defeating Labour's no bad. It's not a hard man. We just point out the fact that Sarwar is a champagne Tory. Yeah. Something like that. Right.
Anyway, so that's us. We've come to the end of the hour. We've ran over by a couple of minutes. Well, we don't mind that. As long as you don't mind that. But it's like, thanks for joining us. Sorry it was a bit of a, let's say, a shivery one today, because we've been through a lot of shit in the last week, and seeing the stuff that's come out, it's just, we had to talk about it, right? So look, guys, there is light at the end of the tunnel, only if you want there to be. If you want there to be, I'm right there with you. I'm trying to overtake you, right? And so is David.
This wee bit here, this wee segment isn't supposed to be downhearted, this bit at the end. It's supposed to be a rallying call. But we have to pepper it with political reality.
That's
right. And the reality is, if we don't get behind the vehicle we'll vote for this particular election, especially, that'll be David and I's last campaign.
As the Italian says, benito finito, right? So there you go, right? Okay, guys. If you liked what we did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We promise we'll be here next week.
Those who made donations to the food banks today, thank you very much. It's very generous of you.
Thank you. And that just remains for me to say bye, Dave. Bye, guys.
Hey, if you're on Facebook, you're going to share this. Give me a couple of minutes to make it public, please. And as David says, hit the like button. See you later, David. Bye, guys.